Bill Plaschke, Woody Page, Tim Kalisha, Kevin Blackistone, where have you been all my life? Today,
where have you been?
Bar fight for Ezekiel Elliot. This is Tim Kalishaw's account. We'll get the latest from him on whether Cowboys fans should fear a suspension coming. Next. All right, who's been in a bar fight before? Just yell it out.
It's Around the Horn,
Woody.
the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
No. We start with Ezekiel Elliot. The same week, the NFL was to release a finding on the sexual assault investigation. 105.3 The Fan reports he was in a bar fight in Dallas last night. TMZ Sports with some visuals. No arrests. Few details are known. A man was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injury. About the upcoming NFL finding, Mike Fisher of The Fan cited an unnamed source, says the league will look at the cumulative nature of Zeke's behavior and doling out punishment. Pair that with the ESPN report last week that said Elliott was bracing for a suspension and, quote, the league is looking to pin something on him, end quote. That was from another unnamed source. Tim, you wrote today in the Dallas Morning News that Cowboys fans shouldn't expect Elliott to start the season on the field. You see a suspension coming?
I think at this point everybody does. I mean, I think at the end of last week, Cowboy fans were more of a mind that why is the NFL still investigating him? When is this thing? And then Adam Schefter reported it's coming to a head this week. It's been a year that they've been investigating the domestic violence incidents, and there's been little things along the way, none of them meaning much by themselves. But then in the week where he's supposed to respond to what the NFL has told him, here it is reported that he's in an altercation at a bar. I guess the good news from his standpoint, he's not named in the very initial report from the police. That doesn't clear him, but we'll have to see how it plays out. It's just he seems to be a guy who, whatever the case, he cannot stay away from trouble, and I think the NFL is going to have enough to, whether it's one game or two, to put him on the sideline.
So one game or two is numbers that you think or numbers that you're hearing?
No, just numbers I think. Just think.
Kevin Blackistone, everything we just said, the accumulative effect of incidents or just things on the record here, this fight this weekend, which is just reported, and, of course, the investigation the NFL has been doing.
You know, I wish somehow we could let the legal course just play out because this fight that we're just hearing about, we have some grainy video. His name was not in the report, as Tim said. It comes out over a radio station. And we don't know anything more beyond that. We don't know if he was the offender. We don't know if he was defending himself. We know absolutely nothing about it. And then as far as the domestic violence case from a summer ago, again, that's a deal where police, the courts looked into it. And because of conflicting information, it didn't go any further. And now the NFL is looking into it. And I just wish we could that the league could make its judgments based off of what the legal system does rather than
That's interesting, Kevin, and I hear what you're saying there completely. But, I mean, we've seen the legal system also fail in many cases, especially with domestic violence. I mean, you know that. Sure. And the league has to have their own investigation, don't they, into something involving domestic violence, regardless of how the legalities of it play out.
I don't disagree with that, and that situation is going to be cleared up somewhat whenever Ezekiel Elliott gives his report to the league about what happened a year ago.
Let's bring in Bill Plaschke here.
Well, Kevin, the league's already made it very clear the legal system is only one small part of it. They could drop a 6-game suspension on him right now for just being a bad dude.
6
according
games.
To them. I mean, they could. According to the league bylaws, the personal conduct policy, absolutely. They won't, but I'm saying, Kevin, the league has no mandate to wait for anything legal at all. They've already shown that, even with Ben Roethlisberger. So I think this is headed probably toward a 2 to 4 game suspension because, again, this is a week he was supposed to be preparing his response to domestic violence allegations and to get in this kind of potentially alleged trouble during a time when he should be responding to previous alleged troubles. You got to wonder if they might make a statement with this guy, kind of make an example of him. He's a young face of the league, and I'm sure they don't want him to get off on the wrong track, and I could very well see 4 games.
4 games. Woody Page, how about you?
Well, Bill, it shouldn't take longer than the Warren report for the NFL to figure out whether or not he was guilty of something before he came into the league, whether when he went into a marijuana dispensary, whether what happened at St. Patrick's Day how long does it take between police reports, your own investigative staff, which includes former FBI agents, really more than a year? I saw it, went through it here in Denver with Aqib Talib, also in Dallas, where he shot himself. And they finally said, we're not going to met out any punishment to him. And it took about a year and a half. I just don't understand why the NFL can't be more transparent and why it takes longer than a year to figure out whether you're going to punish anybody for whether the transgressions were real or not. Make a decision and move on.
Tim, I want to read the quote from the ESPN report from a few days ago again. League looking to pin something on him. That's phrased very interestingly from this unnamed source in the report. Are you getting the sense that he thinks the league is out to get him in some way, Ezekiel Elliot?
Oh, I think he thinks that. I don't know if that's really true. Last year the Cowboys always opened the Giants. Last year Josh Brown was suspended for the Giants, so now they got a suspended Cowboy. I mean, there's already enough Cowboys suspended going into the game. They don't really need to add to the list just for the sake of it.
Flashkey, last word.
I can totally see the league making a statement because of his youth, because of the way he's such a symbol for resurgence in the NFL. Again, they want to nip this in the bud. I can totally see him trying to pin something on him. Absolutely.
We'll move on to Washington now. The deadline officially passed. Kirk Cousins franchised again. The team will pay him $23.9 million this year. It's been reported recently tone of negotiations had brightened, and that's pleasant to hear. I read today no other quarterback in NFL history has ever been franchised twice. I'm looking at you guys to tell me what that means. KB, this is your account. You're pleasant. What do you make of pleasantries but no deal? And what do you think of the back-to-back franchising?
I don't have any problem with the back-to-back franchising. I mean, this is a situation that's available to a team, and I think they had to see Kirk Cousins through one full season. Now they've seen him through 2 full seasons. And let's not forget that last year he threw for almost 5,000 yards, but with Deshaun Jackson, with Pierre Garçon, and with Jordan Reed, only 25 touchdowns. That's not a very good ratio when you're throwing for that many yards. And so I think that this team is going to sit back and wait, even though they've got a credible starter, before they back up a Brinks truck to his front door to make him the long-term guy here.
Bill Plaschke?
Well, I don't think he'll be the long-term guy. I don't think he's here past this season. I think this is all almost a ploy to get him ready to go with his former mentor, Kyle Shanahan, with the San Francisco 49ers. That seems to be the play here. And again, Cousins says he loves Washington. There's no deal. The Redskins say they love him. There's no deal. I think he's playing out for this year. I think he waits for next year and then takes the big money and goes out west.
Woody Page?
Well, I think it's a win no matter what happens for Kirk Cousins, but I think it's been a loss for Washington. Its previous general manager that it fired was willing to give him the going rate for quarterbacks. That's $100 million. And you could say, oh, wow, $100 million. Ryan Tannehill got a $100 million contract. Everybody that comes along, now the price of poker has gone up to $150 million. We've just seen it with Derek Carr, and we're going to see it with the quarterback for the Detroit Lions. And so for Washington to keep wandering around and deciding whether or not they want to keep him, they could franchise him again next year. Guess how much that would cost him, Tony? More than $85 million over 3 years. Really? You could have gotten him for $50 million less.
So you think the team played this poorly, and you're wondering about the team because they fired a GM in the middle of the negotiations and all that's going on. Tim Calisher, how about you on Washington?
I mean, I think their reluctance to make a final decision on him is costing them an exorbitant amount of money. I wonder if any of Bruce Allen's clients ever got checks like Kirk Cousins is receiving from Bruce Allen's team. At the same time, I don't think it really works against them. He does have to play for a contract every year, and as KB said, he threw for 5,000 yards last year. They may have upgraded their receivers this year with Pryor coming in, so we'll see. I mean, I think he's going to have a big year. I disagree that he's definitely gone. I think they will eventually get around to keeping him and extending him.
KB, can you address that in Washington? Are you getting the feeling, that idea that Shanahan's now out in San Francisco. They loved each other when they were working together, especially Shanahan loved Cousins, the idea of Cousins.
that idea was definitely out there. But I tell you what, I think you've got a fan base here who, if you polled them, most of them would want Kirk Cousins to stay here. And at some point
today, after week one, that changes, right?
Right.
If he throws two picks in the first half. Exactly.
But, he's going to have Terrell Pryor this year. He's not going to have Deshaun Jackson. You're going to have hope for Jamison Crowder to continue to develop and some of the young guys like that. He's just not going to have the weapons this year that he had last year.
It puts pressure on Cousins again.
Yep.
But if you want to bet on yourself, people do that. That's not a bad move. We'll move on. One more piece of NFL news today. Panthers firing GM Dave Gettleman, 1 year removed from making the Super Bowl, 6 months after a disastrous missed the playoff season, 8 days before training camp. Bill, timing? What's this about?
I think it's about a GM that didn't have his finger on the pulse of the locker room. I think him getting rid of Josh Norman, getting rid of Steve Smith, getting rid of D'Angelo Williams, all 3 players who have, at least 2 of them have come back and ripped him on Twitter today. I think that was obviously blew a big hole into that 15-1 team that they had and coming back to the bad season this year. Obviously, there's a disconnect there, and I think this shows that.
Mm-hmm. There may be a disconnect, Woody Page, but for it to play out 8 days before training camp, does that raise an eyebrow for you?
But I want to start with the fact that I would think that getting your team to the Super Bowl buys you at least a couple of years in the league, and particularly not getting fired right before training camp starts. I mean, the way Richardson has handled this, and I've been told that he totally was against the getting rid of Josh Norman, and we've seen how that's played out. Maybe they could get him back now if they want him so badly, but I think he deserved a fairer break. I think he's going to get a lot of money. He'll get another opportunity a year from now. People are saying, well, you can't do it right before training camp. Well, he's going to be paid for this year. There'll be other general manager jobs available, and I think he'll get one, and there may be a disconnect with the players, but general managers really don't deal that much with players.
General managers don't deal with players? Aren't they the ones who have to bring players in?
Like they hire and fire them.
Okay, that's
well,
news. Woody Page, breaking news. Tim Callis Show. How about you?
Well, I think they don't have to have personal relationships with a lot of them. They have to build the team.
Get your point back.
I don't think this even looks like a football decision because you go playoffs, Super Bowl, miss the playoffs in a year where Cam's all over the map and hurt, Luke Kuechly's out with a concussion, and then you're out, but you don't do it till July. You let him draft. You let him run free agency. There's no logic to that. I think there has to be something else involved here.
And Blackistone.
Yeah, that's what I think, too. Not only but on top of that, you also let one of your lieutenants who could take over the team, Bean, leave to go run the general manager's office for the Buffalo Bills. So now you don't even have a successor there, and you got to go out and look and try and find someone. So this doesn't make a whole lot of sense from a whole lot of angles. There's got to be some real fire behind this smoke.
Okay. At the horn here, does this firing make you change the way you think their season's going to go in any way, wins or losses, in either direction? Flashkey?
No, it's too late to fix the season for them.
I think they've done all this stuff they're going to do. They brought in a number of good players. I think they're going to be a
Callis Show, they're the same team you thought they were going to be.
I didn't think they were going to the playoffs, and I still don't think they're going to the playoffs.
Blackistone.
It's all about Cam. It wasn't about the GM anyway.
We'll be taking a break right here. Buy or sell next. Stick around. Woody Page in the yellow jersey in the lead. There we go.
Yeah, he's the red
card. Buy or sell.
Wimbledon's Remember the 2000s weekend. Half success. Venus overpowered by Muguruza. Federer easy over Cilic. You guys tell me. Historically, this is absurd, right? He's going to be 36 in 2 weeks. He's 2 for 2 in majors this year. He won the whole bloody Wimbledon without dropping a set. Bill, how do you view Federer's 8th Wimbledon title?
4 years older than the previous oldest man to win Wimbledon. It's amazing. I think Federer right now, you have to say he's the greatest active athlete in the world. I don't think there's any way you can say that at his age, all he's accomplished, all the great competitors he's overcome. Yes, no, he's the GOAT.
Active
he's the
athlete in the world.
He's the
that's
GOAT.
all
yes.
sports. I mean, even in tennis, he's greater than Serena, in your opinion, and then what you're saying. Because she's an active athlete.
Because of his age, yes.
Mm-hmm. Woody Page, how about you?
Hold all the calls. We have a winner for Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. If he doesn't get it, there's something wrong with the voting there. But I think he's more entertaining. I watched the entire match, and people said, well, that was a boring match. Well, he made it worthwhile. It was like Tiger when he won at Pebble Beach. It was like Borg when he went through Wimbledon without losing a set. And Borg, I thought, was the most entertaining tennis player I've ever seen. I think Federer has moved into that category.
Kalisha.
Woody, I was with you at Pebble Beach. That wasn't that exciting to watch. Tiger won by 15 strokes. Roger Federer, it's absurd that he was that close to perfection in his 8th Wimbledon. You said he never lost a set. He was never even down a break in a set for 7 straight matches. He was just unbelievable.
So what is that about, Tim? Because you've covered the game more than anybody here combined. He took off the French Open. You got guys taking off majors now with a chance to extend their season and have better careers.
For him, it's all about being healthy and how he feels and how his legs are and, everything else. He's perfected his serve to the point that he wins his service games in about a minute, and the guy's back to trying to hold serve again.
KB.
Yeah, but the thing about Federer is, remember, he's coming off the knee situation, didn't want to play on clay anyway at Roland Garros. But here's the thing. Not only does he win yesterday, he was 9-0 this year after that 6-month layoff against top 10 players, all guys younger than him. 31-2 this year. This is remarkable for a guy.
So you can imagine players taking layoffs. I mean, this is like the NBA story of the season. Rest a little bit here, and he can go longer in the postseason.
He's the GOAT at 36.
Flashkey. He's 1 month older than Serena Williams. He's not older than Serena Williams. I mean, it's the same.
I said he's older. He's older. I stand by what I said.
At this age, and they're basically the same age. But we're going to move on. Let's look inside this Jackie Bradley Jr. catch. Look how casual he is to start. This is a 411 feet from home plate, by the way. And this is triangulation, Holmes. It was allowed out for Aaron Judge, who's 1 for 18 since winning the home run derby. New York Post, Ken Davidoff, want to ask if it's too early to tell if he's been hit by the derby jinx. Woody, you want to answer that question for them?
Yeah, well, everybody in New York panics. We know that from Frank Isola. You had to expect this after all he went through, All-Star Weekend. He's a young guy. He's coming back. Still, if you look at it, he's walking a lot, so it's not like he's extended his strike zone, and he could have had a home run. He would have been on base 5 times since the All-Star game. I think it's not.
Never too early to panic in New York, especially Tampa Bay ahead of him for that first wild card spot. I don't think it's the jinx. I think people will eventually, stop throwing pitches if they can, that he can hit out of the park. I mean, and he's going to
This is a great strategy from Tim Kalisha. Just stop throwing pitches he can hit out of the park. I wish they had thought of that sooner. Kevin Blackistone, please.
I just love all the angst in New York right now. They're probably looking at the fact that this was his first time in 43 starts. He didn't even reach base to go along with all the other stuff. They're probably wondering, is he Brandon Inge? Remember that year he fell off? 21 home runs. And
I don't think anybody is confusing Aaron Judge with Brandon Inge, Bill Plaschke.
Yeah, you're not going to win any arguments with Brandon Inge, Blackstone. I'm sorry to say that. No, this is just regression to the mean. He wasn't going to hit 60 home runs, okay? He got off to a good start. He's going to have a nice finish. He's tired. My goodness, like what he said, he's been through a tough week. He'll be fine.
Kalisha and Blackstone.
Regression to the mean is what I was talking about.
Here. The Inges you need are everywhere. We'll move on. Buy or sell 3. The Nats trading for Sean Doolittle, Ryan Madson. Is this the bullpen relief they needed? You can start with us, KB, right here. This is your account.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's wiping sweat off their brow here. You get a veteran guy in Madsen who's having a hell of a year, and you get a guy in Doolittle who just doesn't walk anybody. Their whips are extremely impressive, but I tell you what, Rizzo is not done. Look for him to make yet another move for a closer.
Bill Plaschke.
Doolittle has not allowed a hit to a left-hander this year. Note that, Dodgers. And Madsen, 189 batters are hitting against him. It's a big move for the Nats.
Paige.
I love it. They had 5.41 ERA in their bullpen, worst in the National League. You pick up 2 veteran, good arms. Meanwhile, the A's say they're in rebuilding mode. They have been for the last 20 years.
Kalisha.
I like the one-stop shopping. You need a right-hander who had 30 saves last year. Call Billy Bean. Need a left-hander who had 30 saves a couple years ago? Call Billy Bean. Get him from the same team in one deal.
Well, maybe they know how to throw pitches that other guys can't hit for home runs, because that's the secret of life. Here's some one-stop shopping. Kalisha, Blackistone's on. Flash Page, show that next.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million. What color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges, That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Last page showdown. Summer League Championship tonight. Lakers and Trailblazers. Bill Plaschke absolutely giddy about this. Get a hold of your life, Bill. Lonzo Ball's got the tight calf. Should the Lakers give him a go?
No, shut him down. Shut him down. They're not trying to win Summer League. They're just trying to get Lonzo, integrated in the offense. They've done that. They've shown he can do it. They're impressed.
You are totally
shut
wrong.
Him down.
This is an opportunity for LA to win a championship. You get him out there and play. He's played in 6 different pairs of shoes, and I'll tell you which one he's doing the best in, Adidas. Product placement.
Summer League Championship. Okay, what's that trophy called, Woody?
Answer the question, Woody Page. Yeah. Answer one team that's ever won it in the past. I don't think you can do that either. 2 points for Bill Plaschke.
That won last year.
Big 3 in Philadelphia last night. It'll air today on TV. Allen Iverson. Remember, this is in Philadelphia. Did not play. He said he was under advice from his doctor. Woody, did Iverson owe it to Philly to give it a go yesterday?
I think you misquoted him. I think he was under orders from Dr. J not to play because he would be shown up in the game.
Wow.
But he should have played going back to Philadelphia in front of those fans. They don't want to see him just show up.
If this league is going to work, great players like that have to play in their hometown. He's the only guy anybody's ever heard of. Yeah, it was dereliction of duty for him not to play. And I wonder how's this league going to even make it like this?
Dereliction of duty. Woody, you were in the yellow jersey all show, but you got passed by Plaschke at the end.
Well, after this great weekend of great veteran superstars like Venus Williams and Roger Federer and athletes that have stood the test of time, let's now pause to remember one who has not. This is the British Open is this week. Tiger Woods once won 3 of these British Opens. He now ranks 1,005th in the world golf rankings. 1,004 golfers ranked ahead of him. It is stunning. He hasn't won a major in 8 years, and it just shows the decisions you make change your life. And that decision on that Thanksgiving night with that incident with the car and the golf club.
He was the answer to your question, most dominating athlete in the world in the past. Not anymore.